What happens when a 76-year-old man enters a powerlifting meet and absolutely dominates? Or when you get folded by a 73-year-old like this? And what if you were the literal world's strongest man and still got beaten by a guy twice your age? Old man strength is definitely real, and this is what happens when some old men absolutely dominate. Some of you may have seen this clip before, but if you haven't, this is 29-year-old Ronnie Coleman competing in his last ever powerlifting meet called the Texas Classic. And here you can see Ronnie lifting 727.5 pounds or 330 kilos in the deadlift. But Ronnie himself isn't even the star of the show here. The craziest feat from this meet came when this gentleman walked out on stage. Immediately, most of you have no idea who this man is, other than that he appears to be quite old for a powerlifting competition and he looks rather skinny. Well, you're in for a treat. This is 76-year-old retired truck driver Roy Mason from Minnesota, and he is very unknown in the strength scene despite his crazy ability to deadlift. In this very meet, Roy weighed in at 151 pounds or around 68 kilos, and here is deadlifting an astounding 485 pounds or 220 kilos completely raw. For reference, the reason why this looks so much less is because those are 100-pound plates. But to put things into perspective on how crazy this strength feat is, if this was done in the IPF, which is the biggest powerlifting federation we have, this deadlift would be 10 pounds higher than the world record for his age and weight class, which he is already super light for. Hey, bad guy from the future here. Apparently, I was looking through these records at the IPF site and I forgot to turn on classic powerlifting instead of equipped lifting. So these numbers that I'm referring to are actually equipped lifts, which should actually be higher than the raw lifts, but apparently they were not. So this particular lift was 7 kilos below the current world record, but it would be a world record at the time. And other than having a long line of competitions of similar results in the deadlift, not much else is known about Roy other than that he used to be a preacher and drove logging trucks for most of his life. He was actually also on the cover of an early strength magazine called Powerlifting USA. His best deadlift in competition was 545 pounds at age 69, which would also be a world record, and Roy Mason passed away in 2005 at age 87. But even Roy Mason can't compare to the man I'm about to show you. Known as the king of grip strength, 74-year-old strength athlete Odd Haugen grew up in my home country of Norway, and he's actually from the same town as my dad. But that's besides the point. This man probably has the strongest grip on planet Earth, apart from maybe one other guy which I'll get into later. Born in 1950, Haugen grew up with a love for strength sports, competing in weightlifting, powerlifting, and bodybuilding, becoming the national champion across all three disciplines in 1970 in Norway before moving to the United States to study, getting a bachelor's degree in pediatric exercise science and a master's degree in business administration. After which, Haugen moved to Hawaii to start a gym franchise which got over 7,000 members. And at this point, he had been retired from strength sports since he moved to the US, taking a break for over 15 years. A couple of years later, after being almost 20 years in retirement, Haugen decided he wanted to get back into strength sports, taking up powerlifting and competing in the Norwegian National Powerlifting Championships, where he got a national record in the deadlift and bench press for veterans. And later he would also get a bronze medal in the Veteran World Championships. After that, Haugen would move back to Norway and buy in on a massive gym franchise, and from there, he would get seriously strong, placing well in professional strongman competitions and even qualifying for the world's strongest man in 2001, 2002, and even in 2006 at age 56, setting the record for the oldest ever competitor at the time. But his story doesn't end there. You see, Odd discovered from competing in strongman that he had one exceptional gift that no other athlete possessed, namely a grip that could bend steel. From then, he would start training specifically for grip, which would give him more world records than any other athlete in a plethora of grip strength events. For example, Haugen holds the most clean reps ever done with the Thomas Inch dumbbell at 63 reps in 10 minutes. He also holds the seniors record for the Rolling Thunder, and he was the first person to ever deadlift the Millennium Dumbbell, which weighs over 230 pounds. Notably, Haugen also coached one of the world's strongest men, Martin Sleazy's, to victory in the World's Strongest Man competition in 2019. And he is still doing insane feats to this very day. And in his mid-70s, he just likes messing with people who think he's just some random old man. But do you remember how I said Haugen had the record for being the oldest World's Strongest Man competitor? Well, he doesn't anymore. You see, only last year his record was broken by none other than British strongman and the undisputed king of grip in the strongman scene, Mark Felix, who competed in the World's Strongest Man at 57 years old, and he retired from professional strongman just a few weeks ago. Now, don't let his retirement fool you, this man is still as lethal as ever in terms of strength. But let's go back a little bit to see the stuff Mark Felix has accomplished. Born in 1966, Mark Felix entered his first World's Strongest Man competition at age 38, which is already way past the average strongman professional career. For reference, four-time winner Brian Shaw has been considered a true veteran in the game who competed for a long time, and he promptly retired at age 41. Felix didn't even start training for strongman until age 37. But he focused primarily on bodybuilding the years prior, which is why he was still able to make such a steady progress in a sport at such a late age. Felix would enter Britain's Strongest Man for the first time in 2006, placing second, which was his first ever solid placing at a major competition. Although he would also win a couple of competitions held by the IFSA, a federation which no longer exists. But Felix would only improve since then as a competitor, although he would never end up winning the Britain's Strongest Man due to heavy competition from guys like Lawrence Shaw, Terry Hollands and Eddie Hall. He would place second 4 times and third 2 times. But what we're really interested in here is not exactly his placings, but rather his records. Felix holds an impressive line of different strength records, most of which include his tremendous grip strength. For one, he's won the Rolling Thunder World Championships twice, and he set 2 all-time world records in the event, last in 2012, which is still the second heaviest lift ever in the Rolling Thunder history. Moreover, he also holds a world record in the Hercules hold, which he has himself broken on a ton of different occasions, improving by a few seconds every time, the last of which was in Manchester in 2019, where he held the Rogue Hercules pillars for 87.52 seconds and made the arena roar with excitement. This man also held the world record for holding the famous Dinnie Stones back in 2020 during the Arnold Strongman Classic. And he also has the 2-man deadlift world record together with Eddie Hall at 850 kilos, as well as the silver dollar deadlift record at 515 kilos, which he did at age 55. But his incredible achievements don't even end there, because he's also bested other strength athletes literally half his age, some of which you may have heard of, like Hafthor Bjornsson and Tom Stoltman, both of which have won the World's Strongest Man later on. Mark Felix is simply a legendary athlete, and I wish him all the best in his retirement, as it may take a while before we see another athlete who can be this dominant at such a late age ever again. Who do you guys think deserves the title of the World's Strongest Old Man, and do you know some old-timers yourself who could put most younger athletes to shame? Let me know down below in the comments, and if you enjoy these videos and want to see more like them, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel out a lot, and only about 20% of my viewers are actually subscribed. So maybe together we can hit this 1 million subscriber milestone in the near future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.